Hi everyone, welcome to our quick look series. And today I'll talk around a very small topic but very important, making field required with or without default value. So, suppose a business has a requirement where they want to make a field required, right? Needs to make field required, right? Now, which questions we should ask? We should ask the questions like, or which thing we should check in this scenario, right? Uh, do we need this field to be required for all the scenario irrespective of any condition, right? It means always. Do we need this required always, right? The other question would be, do we need this field required from UI only? Okay, now for this both the requirement, there can be another question saying, do we need this, or do we need this required for some specific profiles, users, or certain conditions, right? Some dependency conditional check. So now these are the things we should ask to business. If business says they need, it is required as always, we can always use, or we can surely use a required checkbox on the field level, right? Field level. So if I go here, I can go to, okay, say any object, say called service request, nothing but opportunity. So if I go to this, now the another thing is whether we need it for the standard or the custom field, right? So if it is for standard field, again remember there is a limitation, right? You cannot modify standard field directly. You cannot make it required from the field level because you don't see that option, right? Whereas when you go to any custom field, say I have a delivery status, okay, this is field. If I go here, or any other field, any custom field, right? If I say edit, I should be able to make it as a required. So once I make a field required from here, what does it mean? It will be required from everywhere, from UI, from your API, from your data loader, from your Apex side. If you are inserting record, everywhere this will be required going forward, right? And this will be applicable for any records created after this. And if there is any existing record and user go and check on that record and he try to edit, then once we make this field as a required, he need to provide value. Otherwise, if he try to edit something else and try to save, it won't allow him to save, right? That those are the two things we need to consider. So field level, we need to check whether standard or custom field. Standard field not possible, custom field yes, you can do it, make it required, but this will make it required from everywhere. It will apply on any records which are created once we make the field required. And if there is any existing record that user tries to update post making this change, it they need to provide, they must provide the value for that field. Okay, now second thing is, okay, I just want to make it required from UI only, then how I can do that, right? So if we want to make it from UI only, there is a simple option, right? You go to, so how you control these fields from the UI? You have a page layout. You can go to the page layout. You can look for that field. Let's say, for example, this field I want to make it required, or delivery driver I want to make it required. I can just click on this gear or this spanner icon and I can make it required. So this will make it required only from the UI, but it won't restrict it from the backend Apex or data loader or any API which is invoking Salesforce and inserting record, right, or updating records. This will be from UI only, and how we can do that? We can do it from page layout, right? Now, what if we want it conditionally, right? So again, there is a trick, right? So if we want to have it conditionally, say for example, system admin should be able to update without providing value, and for other profile it should require a value, or for specific set of user it require a value, or we want to do some conditional check within the same object. If xyz field is having value, then this field should not be empty, right, like that. So for all that we have validation rule, right? So with the help of validation rules, if I go here, let me check. Yeah, so with the help of validation rules, you can find that on the Salesforce documentation always, right? So we can put the condition: if user is this and this, then throw an error, or if profile is not system admin, then this field should be populated, it should not be empty. Instead of is change, it should be is empty, right? That kind of conditional check you can put in here. But in worst case, suppose the logic is big enough where based on certain business logic you want to restrict user from uh, making this field required, right? He cannot save the record if that field is empty, but there is business logic and it has dependency on multiple records that we cannot cater using validation rules. So then always we have to fall back to our trigger. There can be other options as well, I am not denying that fact, but this is what simply these are the options. With the help of trigger, there is one method called add error. So how you can do that? In your logic you can do all the checks. Okay, let me show you which file I have. Okay, here. So say based on my logic I want to add an error. So what I can do, I can just go go to that individual record and then field dot add error, so it will show that error. This is based on some logic I am adding that error or making that field as a required. So I can check if this field is empty, then throw an error, right? Basis there is certain logical conditions. So those are the various ways, even though this is very simple thing, right? But you have to consider so many parameters. First of all, whether the field is standard or custom, if it is always required or required from UI only, or it is conditionally required. Within that conditions, how complex is the condition? If it is straightforward, that can be done using validation rule, always go for that out of box thing, right? And then if it is not possible using out of box thing, then go for the Apex logic. So these are the various things available. Hope this you will find useful. Thank you.